Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Nura Mozoon, and this is Dr. Nura Reacts. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite shows, Schitt's Creek. We're going to examine a really quick scene between Alexis and Ted. The reason I wanted to pick this clip is because it highlights one of the dynamics that most of us can relate to, and that's the post-breakup dynamic of one person moving on with their lives and starting to do well, and then the other person kind of noticing them and seeing them in a new light. In this scene, Alexis reconnects with Ted, her former boyfriend slash fiance. She's seeing him for the first time since she broke off their engagement. Let's watch.
Nice bike. Oh my god. Ted?
Alexis!
You look good. Like really good. Like super sun-kissed and muscly.
Thank you. I've been working out a bit. And traveling. Hit the beach pretty hard for a few weeks, and boy did it hit me back.
Good for you. I was wondering where you ran off to.
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of a funny story. Do you remember that couple's vacation that I booked for us right before you broke off our engagement?
Again, I'm super sorry about that.
No, it's awesome. Because they actually gave me the Broken Heart Special. 3 extra nights at no extra charge, as long as I could prove that I didn't actually make it down the aisle.
Look at you, and now you have a bike.
Yeah. I know, I got almost full price back for the engagement ring, and I always wanted one of these, and it costs less than the ring, so.
Wow. So you're in like really good place right now.
Yeah. Well, the beach changes you.
So here she's noticing that he's really found a new headspace that's actually making him more attractive to her. He took some time off, he went and kind of reconnected with himself, he healed, and now he's back with a new energy and a new outlook on life, and she is responding to him in a totally different way.
How about you? What's going on?
Yeah, I've just been super busy. So.
Yeah, no, I hear that. My day's been stacked, doing rounds to some farms, checking on the animals, now some house calls. But I gotta say, it's a lot more fun now that I got this puppy. Pun intended.
Look at you. It's like the Sons of Anarchy had a vet.
Yeah.
So here we see, as he gets off the motorcycle, he takes off his jacket. She sees that he's got a bit of a new physique, and so she's not only energetically more attracted to him because he's in a better headspace, but now she's finding herself even physically more attracted to him, even though I don't think he looks that much different than he did before. Like maybe he got a little bit more muscly, but he generally looks the same. But she's actually finding him even more physically attractive as well.
Except they don't wear helmets on that show, which I get, but it's a little dangerous. Anyway, it's great to see you, Alexis.
Totally.
So this whole clip is actually illustrating a concept called Waller's principle of least interest. The principle of least interest basically says that the person who is the least invested in the relationship, the person who has the least amount of interest, actually holds the most power. So in this case, he's in a better headspace. He's looking a little bit better, not that much different than before, but he's also clearly moved on. He ended the conversation first, he walked away first, he left her kind of wanting more. And all of that added up to her actually finding him more desirable than she ever did. So this is a pretty prime example of what happens when your energy changes after a breakup, and how our energy and the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we think about ourselves, the work that we do on ourselves, it changes how others respond to us too. This isn't to say that you should fake being interested or that you should pick somebody that you're not that interested in. The point is not to have the most power. I don't want to misrepresent what I'm trying to say. So it's not so much that you should pretend to be less interested, because actually pretending doesn't really get very far anyway. Where your head is at is what others sense. So it's not about being checked out and being disinterested. It's about having multiple interests and not making your relationship the only thing that you live for. The next clip is between David, Alexis's brother, and Ted. So this takes place a little while later down the line. She and Ted, throughout this period of time, have developed a friendship. It's stayed platonic. They've gotten closer. They've really built a stronger foundation. She's done a lot of growing. He's grown, but really she's the main character who shows like her arc. So right before the scene that I'm going to show you, Alexis tells Ted that she's in love with him. And he's dating somebody at the time. She tells him that she's in love with him. And so in this scene, you see Ted talking to her brother David, processing the whole thing. At the same time, David has gone through his own growth, his own journey. And he has been in a serious relationship with his boyfriend, and just like minutes before this scene, his boyfriend tells him that he's in love with him, and David has gone from like a pretty self-centered commitment phobe to very much transformed and in a healthy relationship and growing quite a lot. So in this scene, you see David talking about what he's learned on his journey and trying to help Ted with his current struggle of whether or not he should give Alexis a second chance.
Anyway, I just felt like I owed it to Heather to be honest.
So then, are you gonna talk to Alexis about this?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to put myself out there again. I mean, David, I spent 2 weeks in Mexico alone on our honeymoon, just trying to get my life back on track.
Okay, look, I would hardly call myself an expert on this subject. And by subject, I mean genuine human emotion. So I am just going to tell you what I know. And you can do whatever you want with that, okay? I know that your name has come up in conversation every single day for the past 6 months. I know that she is different now.
So in here, David's highlighting that Alexis still talks about Ted, that he's still on her mind, and also pointing out the growth, which is something that's actually really, really critical to think about in whether or not you want to get back together with somebody who you've already dated in the past, especially somebody who's broken your heart in the past. So a really key element in whether or not that's a good idea is how much that person has or hasn't grown.
I mean, not that different, obviously, but different enough to know that she made a mistake with you. Or was it 2 mistakes? Or
No, it was just the 2.
But I think it's important for us to remember that sometimes it does work out. And even though everything inside us is telling us to protect ourselves, when you've got it, don't let it go.
David is speaking to something that so many of us can relate to, this idea of choosing to protect yourself rather than taking the leap of faith and being vulnerable and going for something that might actually be the real thing. And he's pointing out something that a lot of us don't really think about. So many of us, when we're caught up in our own thoughts, we think, I've been hurt before, I've gone through so much pain, but the reality is that most of us have.
I've been burned so many times, I'm basically the human equivalent of the inside of a roasted marshmallow.
And so what David is doing here is he's pointing out that there is a point where it will finally work out. And you won't know that until you take that leap.
And I am telling you that you have got it, if you want it.
Thank you, David.
Maybe this can be your thank you.
That's a dog treat?
Looks like a real treat. What am I gonna do now?
I love how he just keeps eating it. He's like, what am I gonna do now? So if Ted was coming to me for my advice, I would tell him to look out for a few things before he made his decision. I would say you've got to look for signs of growth. You can't just trust that they've grown based on what they say. So a few key things to look for are behavior changes. How would Alexis' behavior change towards him now? How would she handle conflict differently now? Growth shows up as the ability to own your part in conflict, the ability to own your shortcomings, changes in mindset that go from being, potentially self-centered to like couple-centered or other-centered, as well as taking care of yourself. So it's a bit more balanced in that way. Somebody who's grown also shows more signs of inner peace. More signs of comfort in their own skin. So there's a lot of little things that he could be looking for, and just generally in life with all of us, there's a lot of little things that you could be looking for to really see if somebody's grown. So there you have it, just a few things to keep in mind before you decide whether or not you want to get back together with your old flame. Bye.
That's exactly the music.